Hi all. Let's do some more Oracle. We'll start it up. Going to the Start menu, All Apps, Oracle Database 11G Express, and we'll start up the command line. You can see here this says SQL Plus. That's the name they give their command line. Let me go ahead and change the colors. Okay, I've got this file. First we'll Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a table with a primary key. That's probably the most important feature that you'll add to a table. There's a lot that you can do with it. We're just going to create a table, show you how to create a table and make one of the columns a primary key. Okay, so a table definition is this guy here. We're defining a table. Create table, and we're giving the table a name. And then we're saying this table has 4 columns. These are the names of the column. These are the data types of the column. And then we can add things after that. So we're defining a table. A fancy word for a table is a relation. Don't let the word mess you up. There's no mystery there. In the database books, sometimes instead of saying table, which would make sense, right? They call it a relation. We use primary keys to make relations between multiple tables. Oracle is a relational database. It's a database application that allows you to make relations between the tables. And the way you do that is you connect the primary keys. Okay, so here you can see we just have a normal table as we did in the previous videos, and we just added these 2 words after the ID num column. So the first column, ID number, we're making that the primary key. So we'll run this command, / to actually run the Okay, so we created a table, and the primary key is the first column, ID num. You can also create the primary key another way, you could put it as a whole nother item down at the bottom. You can see here, this is the way we created a table in the first couple of videos. But if we wanted to, we could just add this guy at the bottom. Say primary key is the ID num column. So it would make this column the primary key. So two ways to do the same thing. It's a personal preference, you know, however you prefer to do it. You know, first way we did it by just adding it to the column here. Second way, we add it to the column down below. Okay, and just to go ahead and to see this table, and you can see here now we have this guy here, so the ID number can't be left null. It can't be left empty, you know, because we made it a primary key. The primary key makes this column have to be unique. We can only have one number 1, we can only have one number 2, we can only have one number 3. You know, these guys here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I think if you see an example, it'll make more sense to you. So let's go ahead and insert the data here. Okay, so we inserted the data, and let's see it. Hopefully these commands make sense to you. We did these in the previous videos. So, select all of the columns. Star means all of the columns from the products table. So all of the columns, ID number, item, cost, in stock. And you can see the ID number is the primary key. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We wouldn't want 2 number 1s or 2 number 2s or 3 number 3s. Okay, so the purpose of the primary key is like here. If we try and insert another number 1, for some strange reason the data got mixed up, we try to reinsert it. If we try to insert that, then we get an error message saying, hey, you can't do that, it already exists. When you have a primary key, there's like a couple of different constraints. They call it a constraint on a column, C-O-N-S-T-R-A-I-N-T, a constraint. You're restricting the column to certain things. You know. Two of the things are, it has to be a unique item. It's usually a number. You know, sometimes it'll be words, but it's usually a small number used for the primary key. And it can't be left empty. It forces you to enter in a number here. So. That's kind of a confusing thing when you first get started with this stuff. You know, the primary key, by saying primary key, it makes the column have these other things, and those other things are not null. Not null meaning it can't be empty. Don't let the word null mess you up. It just means nothing. null, N-U-L-L. Zero is still something. So null means nothing. Zero is still something. I want to show you another way that we can create this table. Let's go ahead and drop this one here. And I'm going to go ahead and clear the screen to bring things. Okay, so another way that we can create a table with a primary key is we can create the table as we did in the first couple of videos. Just create a regular table, regular column, and then we can use an alter table command on the table to add the primary key. So just to show you how that works, and then we run this command. So it's an alter table command on the products table, and we're going to add the primary key to the ID number, ID num column. You know, if we want to, you can do it like this. It's just a little harder to see what's going on. Okay, now we'll insert the data. And let's see if it worked. And let's make sure we got the primary key. It would be nice if this said primary key. On some databases it will, especially like if you're working with the GUI, they'll have like a little picture of a key, like a key that you turn in a lock. That's how you know it's the primary key. It would be nice if they had a PK here. And then you see here, try to insert the first line again, and you get an error because the 001 in the ID num field. Okay, so it says, hey, you already have a number 1 here. You can't insert, you cannot insert that again. So let's go ahead and mess around with this. Let's say we left this blank. So the first option is blank. There's nothing there. So we want this to go in the second column, third column, fourth column. Say we just don't have an ID number yet. We don't know where we want to put it. See, it won't let us do that because, hey, there's something wrong here. Let's see if we enter in 0. it should take it because 0 is still something. And it should not take null. If I just type null here, then it says, hey, wait a minute here, you can't put null there. See, just to make sure it's not complaining about text, let's see what happens if we try to put some text in here. Num for number. Hopefully it'll complain about that. Yeah, see, it's complaining about text. See, and it's a different error. Here it's saying cannot insert null. Here it's saying a column not allowed here. So it's a totally different error because the system can tell you're trying to insert a null, and it knows that you're not allowed to insert a null there because we made it the primary key. So I'm getting a little deeper there than I really wanted to get. For now, I just wanted you to see this. Create a table with the first column being the primary key. Okay, here's some notes on the primary key. PK is a common name for a primary key. Primary key is usually a short number, a numeric number. Let's say you go to work someplace, they give you a number. Well, that's why they're giving you a number, because they're going to enter you into a database. You go to a store and you return an item, and they give you a receipt back to show that you returned it, and there's usually a case number. That case number might be like 5-6 digits. That's so they can refer back to that refund if they have to get back to it. You know, instead of putting it under your name, there's other people in the country that have the same name. So it's easier just to give you a refund, a case number, and then if they need to find it, put it in a database and find it, they'll be able to find it more easily. Only one primary key per table. Add a primary key to every table even if you don't need it. You know, that's just the standard practice. You know, you might need it down the road, and then you're good to go because the table already has a primary key. Primary key column cannot be null. The primary key is that column, the ID number column. Now this column here, that's the primary key. primary key is unique. It's got to be unique. 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually, these days, you don't use a social security number to identify someone. Most companies are getting away from that. That used to be a common practice, but with all the security issues now, that's becoming an old practice. I even read in one book about 10 years ago that there might be other people in our country, in the United States, that have the same social security number. So take that one with a grain of salt, but that's what I saw in a book. Sometimes you can take 2 or more columns and make that your primary key. That's called a composite key, but that's not a good practice, and they usually recommend against it. But I just thought I'd bring it up in case you're seeing that in books, rarely used. We'll run some examples later that show you how that works. Where might you use that? First name, last name. You take both names and make it the primary key. Okay, let's go ahead and drop that table, and I want to show you how to do this inside the GUI. So we'll log on to the GUI. Okay, so let's see, we'll create the table with the primary key. Okay, so we created a table with the primary key, and let's go ahead and check it out. That's what I wanted you to see. And you can see down here it says this column is the primary key. You're not able to make it null. See, this column, you can leave it null. You can leave it empty. This column, you can leave it empty. This column, you can leave it empty. This one's this ID num column is the primary key, and you're not allowed to leave it empty. It's not nullable. Let's insert the data. Let's go see the data to make sure it worked. There's our results. And then we'll try to insert another row with the same number. And say, hey, wait a minute, the unique constraint is violated. You're trying to insert another number 1. So just to show you, like, let's say we had another product here with a different price and different numbers here for in stock. You know, the only thing that's the same is the first column. It's still saying, hey, the unique constraint is violated. You know, that column is the primary key, so it won't let us insert the data. The same row name, the number 1. Can't insert a null. Hey, you're missing something here. And this one, you can't put text inside there because it's supposed to be a number. Here we're trying to put text in there. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and stop there, so we'll see you. Bye.